Hi guys, Kaiser here, and welcome back to Age of Empires 3. Today we're looking at a civilization that has vexed me for some time. A civilization that has really evaded my understanding and my skill so far in AoE 3. But I think I have finally cracked the code on how to play the Germans. Now, I'm starting the video in pause mode because there are a couple of moves I make right at the beginning that really help out at least my particular way of playing Germany. So let's go and dive in. And what you'll see as the game starts, I first send each of my settler wagons to a different crate of food. Okay, and it's important that you use these settler wagons effectively right out of the gate.
Yeah.
2 on wood, 1 on gold.
Hello?
And then I get these 2 settler wagons on a tree.
Yeah.
Take the 3rd settler wagon, put him onto gold as quickly as possible. All right. Got my 2 tree settler wagons building a market. And our goal, we want to get up to, I believe it's 175 gold and 125 wood, if I'm not mistaken. We take 125 of our gold to buy wood so that we can throw a house down right away. So now here we are, we're 40 seconds into the game, and we've got a market and a house. Now, what I wanted to do, this map has a bunch of coins, so I got a bunch of treasure. Let me just pause right here. I picked up a bunch of treasure from the map, and what your goal is to immediately get down a market, then buy a house, get that down, buy wood for the house, throw the house down very quickly. And then you get up 50 wood and 50 coin for hunting dogs. And you get that hunting dogs tech right away, and that is just going to help your food eco right out of the gate, right? Well, that went great, except I accidentally stopped myself a little bit early on the wood. I should have kept my wood settler wagons on lumber for a little bit longer. So I got to fix that, and you'll see me make that adjustment pretty quickly. But yeah, that's the goal. The goal is right out of the gate, try to get up a market and get up hunting dogs very quickly. And that leads us then into the next stage of the game. Now, the Germans, as I've mentioned in the past, are a tricky civilization. They're tough to play, and the reason why is their eco can be very fine-tuned, very, very finesse. You have access to the settler wagon, which is a great unit. It collects much faster than a regular Ville does. In fact, you'll see these guys 0.84 food per second, whereas the settler wagon here is at 1.7, so more than double the collection rate of everybody else, right? So they're very good eco-wise. They build a lot faster, so they're great. But you got to use them carefully. You got to know where to put those rare settler wagons to get the most use out of them, right? When you hit the commerce age, you are in a little bit of a tough spot as the Germans, because none of your power units are really available to you starting in the commerce age. With other civilizations, maybe you mass up muskets early, and then when you hit the 3rd age, you can just upgrade those muskets. So you can start massing them right away. Well, as the Germans, you don't really have access to those units. You only have access to, kind of archaic crossbowmen and pikemen, and you have the Doppelsoldner, which is a really great melee unit if he's allowed to get into range, but it's pretty easy to kite Doppelsoldners, and they just fall apart if they're not being used in the right situation. And then you have the Ulan, which is a good unit, and you get Ulans for free with every shipment that is sent starting in the commerce age. So the Germans are a very good raiding civ, a very good rushing civilization. But see, here's the trick, though. Your enemy knows that you're going to go Ulan, so they're probably going to mass up musketeer or pikeman right away. So if you're not careful, your Ulans, you'll just throw them away, and you wind up just behind your opponent. And really, you don't get access to your powerful units until the 3rd age. You never get the musketeer. Your Ulan, it hits harder, but it's weaker than a typical Hussar as far as HP goes and sturdiness. Not much of a front line. And that leaves you with your other meta AoE option, and what I'm realizing the Germans are really good at is the typical play is Skirmisher Dragoon, right? Well, the Germans have access to pretty good skirmishers. They're not available until the 3rd age, but that means that they start right out of the gate as veteran skirmishers. And then instead of a Dragoon, you get access to the War Wagon. Now, the War Wagon is a unique unit. In some ways, it is worse than a Dragoon. It's not as flexible, it's not as mobile, so it's hard to kite with them. But on the flip side, they are very, very tanky. And so what we've got here, I've got my deck, I'm going to pull it up. I call it the Bohemian Strat, as a wink and a nod to the Bohemian War Wagons. Bohemia originated the War Wagon. And our game plan is to tech up into the Third Age quickly and start massing up Third Age era units. All right, so to do that, I'm teching up now into the Second Age, and what I believe is the best choice. Historically, I've gone with the free arsenal and the extra Uhlans, or maybe the settler wagon, and in the long run, those are better choices. But there is something to be said for picking up the food or the wood right away. And in this case, I've gone ahead and picked up the food. That's going to help me tech up into the Third Age faster. And that's the name of the game for this German strategy, is to get to the Third Age as quickly as possible. Now, this video, this is me figuring things out. So I do not have a build that is precise down to the second. But what I do have is a general game plan. I've won some games, I've lost a lot of games with the Germans, and I'm starting to piece together how they work. Throwing down some advanced trading posts. They're cheaper, and they've got a defensive attack, which is nice. But I really like being able to pick up more shipments. They're going to be very useful for me. Now, my opponent has just reached the Commerce Age, and let's talk a little bit about Roma, the 16th Doctor here. In the red, playing as the Italians. I've mentioned before, the Italians are a fun civilization to play with. And what I really like about them is how you get additional villagers with every technology you research. You got to be careful about that. You don't want to throw all your resources into, techs that you don't need necessarily. You at least want to be cognizant. It can be a trap. As here we send my Buck the Tame Wolf. I'm just scouting out, and I do see the barracks, which is good for me. One of the things you have to do as a German player, you have to make sure your opponent is going infantry. I find that most of the time, at least where I'm at on the ladder, people open with a barracks. They open with infantry. And in that case, when I hit the Third Age, I'm free to go skirmishers, and I can invest into that. If I saw a stable, I would need to make sure I get the war wagons down first. See the barracks. That makes me feel pretty good about where we're at. All right. Anyway, Italians are a lot of fun. And you do see right now he actually has a score lead. And it looks like that's because he has a Ville advantage. He's got up a Basilica, which is giving him a lot of additional XP. Basically, I wish that you could see... I wish that it would calculate how much XP you're getting per second from the trading post. But I believe the Basilica is probably getting him more than one of my trade posts is. So his Basilica plus the trading post, better than my 2 trading posts, I'm guessing. Still, getting up some early army with the Uhlans. And one of the things that I've been learning in these games that I have been failing at is not to throw away your early Uhlans. It's very easy to think, well, these are freebie units. Send them down. Maybe I get a Ville kill or stall them for a couple of seconds, and then they just die at the town center, or they get blown up by musketeers or whatever, and you move on. But recognize that you can get a very significant ball of Uhlan together if you keep them alive. You mass them up over time, and you can make some very good things happen. Now, having said that, I am going to send them forward, because I do think there's the opposite mistake. The other mistake you don't want to make is just have them sitting in your base doing nothing. I want to try to put pressure on my opponent. And you do see, look at that, he's already got Musketeer out. I have to imagine Roma knows how the Germans go. He's probably expecting Uhlan and is already moving to intercept them now. Oof. All right. At this point, I'm sending in More settler wagons. And fortunately, you'll see I am overpopped here as my Ulans die. So I was just talking about keeping them alive, right? Well, do what I say, not what I do. They did get a couple of kills, which is nice, and that will curb the Eagle Lead that he has. But fortunately, I was pop capped. I do get up a couple of houses before I hit the 3rd age, and that's a mistake I've been making. You know, it's with the Ulans that come in alongside your shipments, it's very easy to get overpopped. That's why I have in my deck the Palatine Settlements. That is an amazing card that makes all of your houses provide 30 pop space instead of 10. So it takes a lot less wood to get up to your max pop limit.
Yeah.
More Ulans coming in, trying to scout things out. I'm really not trying to necessarily get kills or end the game. The main thing I'm doing is just trying to make sure I get a sense of how we, you know, how I should build my army, right? I went ahead and for the 3rd age, to get into the Fortress Age, I sent the politician that sends me 6 skirmishers. I already had a barracks up, so wanted to get more in. I've got in my deck the Falconet card. The Germans don't get access to a 2 Falconet card. They have a 1 Falconet card, but, you know, 1 is better than 0. And I have underestimated artillery many a time. Not doing that again. Send in the Falconets, and I have in the back of my mind the War Wagons, which are going to be a very important unit. If I don't have War Wagons, my skirmishers and my cannons are going to be vulnerable to Hussar raids. Right? I don't want that happening. Now, Underoma here. Getting out more Musketeer, and this is working well for me. Him just going all in muskets. I wonder if he thinks I'm massing up Ulan, but no, I'm going to go heavy into Skirmisher, and the Skirmishers will put in good work against Musketeers. So. Oof. 2 more Ulan down. A moment of silence. Alright. Here they go. I've got, let's see, 19 skirmishers on the way. And, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, here we go. I've also got a Falconet and a couple more Ulan. So here's the game plan. Get the skirmishers up onto the hill. Start attacking this Basilica with the Ulan to kind of lure the Musketeers over to the side of the map, and then reveal the skirmishers. Blow them up. Well, I say that, but no, the Falconet opens up fire. And if he only sees the Falconet, which I don't know if he does or not, let's see. Now he sees the skirmishers, and that should cause him to, you know, pause. Right. He's getting out Schiavoni, which is an Italian unique unit from the Basilica. A great unit. They are a skirmisher, an anti-skirmisher skirmisher. So this is a really good choice for him going into this group of skirms. I also love how Giuseppe here is absorbing the cannon fire, giving his musketeers a little bit more time to put out damage before getting blown up. But too little too late. And now the Schiavoni are going to come out any second, but he's sort of already lost his army. And they're going to be in trouble because Schiavoni, as great as they are against skirmishers, they're terrible against everything else. The Ulans could put in good work against them, and then the Falconets will do damage. Now, I've kept my focus here on the battle, because I think this is where the action is. Look at that, we got some Ulans getting some damage. But the star of the show, while all of this is going on, I am keeping my eco going at home. Here we go, here are the Schiavoni. They're going to do what they can, but... By the way, the Schiavoni's icon. He looks so much like an old-time actor, and I'm trying to remember the name of this actor from a bygone era. But man, it's a splitting image, and I wish I could make that reference, because every time I see that portrait, it makes me think of this guy. Not Burt Reynolds, but kind of in that era. Charles Bronson. That's who I'm thinking of. Schiavone, he looks just like Charles Bronson. Anyway. So keeping the eco going back home. And I have taken the eco lead, which is great. Ooh. Roma has Papal Lancers coming in. And this is going to be important. I've got the War Wagons up. These are my Dragoons. These are my anti-cav options. Without the War Wagons, I have no response to these Lancers. And the Lancers are an amazing unit. We're about to see why. My hat is off to Roma. This is a great unit. Because all of the Papal units, they absorb damage that friendly units receive around them. So if I shoot one of these Lancers for 100 damage, he'll only take, I forget what the numbers are, but it's like he'll only take 80, and the other 20 gets split among the other Papal units. So these are great bodyguard units to mix into your main force. And that gives them a degree of tankiness and resiliency that regular Dragoons would not have. I say Dragoons, they're not Dragoons, they're Hussar. But, like heavy cav. They have a tankiness that regular Hussar otherwise would not have. So he successfully pushed off this initial assault. Good on him. I just did not have enough War Wagons ready to go at that moment. 3 Papal Lancers did their job against the War Wagons. Good news is, I've kept producing back at home. And something that I advise, I used this game with my stable, and I forgot to do it for a while for my barracks. Hotkey your production buildings. So that way in the middle of a fight, you can just click the 1 button and go to your barracks and say, I need more skirmishers, go. Or click 2, go to your stables, I need more. And you're able to just mass them up way more effectively than having to click back and forth across the map. Now I'm sending in, I've already sent in the 8 skirmisher card, I've sent in, I forgot to mention earlier, during the second age, I sent in the 700 coin card to help me get to the 3rd age very quickly. And I encourage you guys, put these in your decks if you want to go to the next age quickly. So War Wagons are up. The skirmishers kind of hiding back behind the War Wagons, letting the War Wagons tank, putting in some damage on those Lancers. Lancers are down. Now it's skirms versus Musketeer and Falconet. Okay. Back at home, I have just recently got up a 2nd town center, trying to make sure that if this assault falls, I have a superior eco behind me that will get me the win regardless. Alright, so keeping both town centers producing, trying to get up an eco lead. I do have 3 vills over on my opponent, but I'm also wanting to I don't want to let up on the gas. I have thrown away games I should have won before because I let up on the gas, and I want to keep the pressure up. So here we go. I've got 5 Ulans, and I'm realizing in a game like this just how useful the Ulan can be, even if your main composition is, skirmisher War Wagon. You can keep these guys in the back and use them to move around, flank around, and get the Falconets, blow them up. Right, that's what I'm going to try to do here. Unfortunately, the muskets do their job well. Falconet stays alive, barely. But it means 1 good salvo from a couple of War Wagons. Yeah, should take out that. Meanwhile, I'm flanking and getting down the Musketeers. A technology that I do not yet have, which would be great to have, is, I forget what it's called. It's counter-infantry rifling or something. It's in the arsenal, and it gives your skirmishers additional damage against musketeers. And I wish I had that up earlier. The arsenal is available in the 2nd age. And that would have been a great bonus for my skirmishers. But I don't mind focusing in on the numbers. Interesting that Roma here doing well keeping the golden food low. I'm sorry, golden wood low. Food, though, is up to nearly 2,000. I wonder if that's... here we go. Falconet gets sniped by the War Wagons. Now they're moving out. Stepping away from those skirmishers. From this musketeer. No, now they're just tanking. Alright. War Wagon's up. He's got Pavicier on the ground, which are anti-infantry units. One of the weaknesses of the battalion since they don't get access to their skirmisher, the Bersaglieri, until the 4th age. So you got to rely on the Pavisier, which is a better crossbow. Not a bad anti-infantry option, but, you know, numbers definitely work for the Germans here. And as tanky as these are, once you get down to 1, he has nowhere to spread that damage to, or, you know, absorb the damage from. So he's down, and now I've got 6 war wagons. And I think that when you hit, I don't know an exact number, but I think that 6 war wagons bring a lot to the table that 3 did not. So even though he may have Papal Lancers in the future,
Yeah.
I think the war wagon's going to put in better work. Speaking of the arsenal, if you're going to play this strategy, get the arsenal down. Also make sure that you pick up, I forget the name of it, but there's also a tech in the arsenal that upgrades your dragoons, which would include war wagons, and makes them do more damage. They pick up a significant amount of damage, so that's a really nice 1-2 punch there. Alright, so we're starting the attack here. I've got, what do we have here? 9 war wagons, 11 skirmishers, and 2 falconets. So got up an artillery boundary. Don't forget your artillery. And here we go. Papal Lancers trying to do their thing, but now, yeah, they're moving over. They're going to take out the artillery. Good for them. Or, well, all right, they took out one of the artillery pieces. The other falconet stays up. Oh! And meanwhile, one of the highlights of the Germans is if you get to the stage in the game, picking up Germantown farmers is, I think, an essential card. It lets you train settler wagons from your mills, and that will give you an eco that is very, very, very strong. Musketeers coming in. This is, you know, I appreciate what he's trying to do, but the Musketeers are at a choke point. Falconet sees it, and the skirms are putting their work too. I've got an upgrades. I have 2 cards in here that help my war wagons. Cavalry hit points and the cavalry combat. And both of those coming in that are just going to make the war wagons that much better. Yeah, at this point, I've got 58 vills to my opponent's 34. The pressure has been strong. And Underoma decides to call it. And that is what I'm leaning into as the Germans. I think it's a very strong strategy to try to get up into the fortress age very quickly. They call it a fast fortress. You get up quickly, and you do that by picking the right politicians that will give you resources. When you go up to the second age, you throw in 1 or 2 of these cards. Oops. There we go. All right. You throw in 1 or 2 of these cards here. You got the chests of coin, the crates of food. You can use either of both of those in order to help you get up to the third age very quickly. Once you do, and you scout in the second age, all right, are they going infantry, are they going cavalry? Whatever you do, you make the appropriate response first. You either go war wagons and then get the skirmishers behind that, or you go skirmishers and get the war wagons behind that. Either way, you get up a solid ball of you know, those units in the third age, and you start applying pressure, and it's really great. In my experience, I've found that what you have to watch out for are opponents who are going to rush you. And that's why I do have in my deck a couple of, you know, the crossbowman card, the Doppelsoldner card, and you have to be aware of an opponent rushing you. You have to change your strategy in order to repel, like a musket rush, for example, the Ruskets. But the Germans are fun to play again. This was a really fun game, and I've got some wins under my belt using the strategy. They are a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know, how do you like to play the Germans? And I'm looking forward to reading more about that in the comments. For now, guys, this is the Iron Kaiser, signing off. Have a great one.